It is often said a picture is worth 1,000 words. And just like that, an audio sometimes reaches deeper than 1,000 images. That is what you're about to see in this video. A set of audios and psychophonies that will freeze every last particle of your body. Because my name is Leonore Clay, and this is The Darkest Secret. Today we present 4 horror audios that will freeze you to the soul. Number 4. What reaches out to us to go down this investigation is one of those audios that seem to have been taken from the most terrifying horror movie. However, it was real, completely unreal situations that real people had to live through. Many of them are no longer with us as a result of the same audio. I'll put you in context. Imagine you're alone, the night is rainy, and suddenly the phone rings. You answer it, and this is what you hear. This, my friends, was not a trolling or a prank call. Whoever was on the other end of the line was the Golden State Killer. If you received his call, he already knew who you were. He knew where you lived. He had already followed you. He had even spied on you for weeks without you noticing. The call was one of the last things he did before entering your home to kill you. And its success rate was high. At least 10 deaths are associated with it, but 50 other acts were even worse. It took a lot of work for the police to find him. In fact, he mocked them by sending them warnings and threats.
Thank you. Police department, sheriff speaking. You're never gonna catch me, you scary rapist, you dumb fuckers. I'm gonna fuck again tonight. Be careful.
He was active between 1974 and 1986. He was methodical and careful. The same night you received the call, 20 minutes later, he entered your home as if he knew which door you left open and committed his atrocities. He planned his crimes months in advance. He knew perfectly well the victim's routine, how many people you lived with, and what weapon he would use against you, depending on how he saw you. He used to roam the area looking for escape routes, and the most disturbing thing was that sometimes he entered houses, stole weapons, or hid them, left windows open so he knew perfectly well where to enter and what you would try to defend yourself with. It was all part of his twisted game. Before the police gave him a name, some victims already reported that someone had called them days before and repeatedly, because of course, he murdered some, but not all of them. He let some girls live after achieving his goal. His strategy was to upset, scare, and cause a whole context of terror for his victims. If you're wondering how someone so methodical and ruthless could commit these crimes and get away with it, well, the man had been a police officer for several years. He had also been a soldier. He knew laws and procedures. That's what made him so dangerous. During his time of activity, if you were a woman from Sacramento, Citrus Heights, among others, and received this call, your next few hours were going to be a nightmare. This person was never found until 2018. After committing his crimes, he spent 40 years evading justice. He was sentenced in August 2020 to 11 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole, in addition to other additional sentences. Number 3. Sebastián Pinera was a two-time president of Chile. He was a controversial, influential character, and without a doubt, one of the most recognized faces of modern Chilean politics. However, on February 6, 2024, his entire story would change after suffering a tragic accident while piloting a helicopter over Lake Ranco. The machine failed, and in the short time he had before crashing, he only managed to allow his family to escape unharmed, while he sank to the bottom of the lake without being able to get out of the helicopter. Sebastián Pinera died that day, shocking an entire country. Several months later, in November of the same year, the YouTuber and TikToker Felipe Briones visited the grave of Sebastián Pinera, along with a spirit box, a machine to capture psychophonies. If real, what Felipe captured in this video is amazing. However, since he was in a cemetery, there were many voices that tried to manifest themselves at that moment. That is why before playing the audio, allow me to show you what Sebastián Pinera's voice sounds like. Although it is not so necessary that you recognize the voice, since other things happen within the video, which is there, where we will delve deeper.
Y fuimos a la ONEMI y después nos fuimos al sur, a Talcahuano, a Concepción. Fíjese que el terremoto, la gente se olvida, destruyó casi un tercio de nuestra infraestructura. Una de cada 3 escuelas, uno de cada 3 hospitales, uno de cada 3 puentes. Y por tanto yo me acuerdo muy bien que apenas llegamos al gobierno, esto pasó 11 días antes de llegar al gobierno, tuvimos que asumir primero los efectos, la urgencia más inmediata.
Now that you have heard his voice, listen to Felipe's result.
Vine a verte de nuevo, Sebastián. Mi nombre es Felipe. ¿Estás acá, Sebastián? A la gente le gustó que yo viniera a verte la vez pasada. ¿Tienes algún mensaje para la gente, Sebastián? ¿Lograste entrar al cielo, Sebastián? La gente piensa que tú no estás aquí, Sebastián. ¿Estás aquí? ¿Estás en paz en el lugar donde estás ahora, Sebastián Pinera? ¿Te molesta cómo está Chile ahora actualmente? ¿Tu muerte, Sebastián Pinera, fue un accidente o fue algo planificado? ¿Tú falleciste en el lago Ranco, Sebastián? Salvaste a tu familia, ¿cierto? ¿Te gustaba ser el presidente de Chile? ¿Te gustaba, Sebastián Piñera, ser el presidente de Chile?
It is curious how many voices overlap. This makes sense if we assume that Felipe has some kind of sensitivity to the occult, and that is why he's able to hear psychophonies. It makes sense that different souls try to express themselves.
¿Amaste Chile, Sebastián? Sebastián Pinera, ¿estás aquí? Quiero que me hables, Sebastián.
There is a branch of occultism that believes that there is no paradise, nor that much acclaimed other side, but rather what happens is that souls remain forever part of the consciousness of the universe, as if they were dormant energies with intention and desire that can manifest in some very subtle way. And if Felipe has some gift where that desire to communicate is more intense than normal, he may be able to manifest the consciousness of people, but they will not speak to you normally. They would be executing pieces of the consciousness that they developed in life. You would be invoking it, manifesting it. That is why you can hear words in the wind like jump, colossal, 11, etc. Felipe's desire accesses corners of the consciousness of the people who are buried here, and he manifests them, not the other way around. It is a very interesting topic that if you want, we can discuss in another video. If you want to know more about this theory, comment theories of life after death to make a video about it. What do you think about this? Are they really psychophonies? Or is it a simple setup? Comment below. Number 2. What reaches out to us to descend further into the darkness was posted on Reddit by a user named Dredagon17. For this position, let me ask you something. Try to put yourself in the user's shoes at all times. At all times. You're on vacation, in a distant hotel, one of those cheap ones. Suddenly, you start to hear some heartbreaking screams. Be honest and tell me, what would you do? You don't know where they came from. You don't know how far away they are. Dredagon17 made a pretty detailed post on Reddit. In his testimony, he says at around 4:45 in the morning, the silence of the night was interrupted by knocking on the door. When they opened the door, no one was there. But half an hour later, the screams began. A heartbreaking scream. One that seemed to come from less than 1 kilometer away, but that no one could describe in words. The panicked mother ran, saying there's someone screaming, referring to a woman who, according to the story, had been screaming non-stop for half an hour. The disturbing thing is that in that time, no help or recognizable words were heard, only a persistent echo, as if someone was expressing indescribable pain. Many have tried to fit this event into the most banal explanation. A drunk woman screaming for her boyfriend. But how can a scream be so deep so resonant, and above all, so silent in content. By that time, Bredigan 17 made this video. The police were already on their way, so other than calling the police, what would you have done? Would you have tried to go in and get closer to the noise? When the police showed up, the screams had already died down. The case was reported, but nothing happened. Nothing more was learned about this event. The curious thing is that after investigating in various forms and even consulting the park rangers, no one heard anything. In the realm of mystery, some have mentioned the skinwalkers, of native tradition, those entities known for imitating voices and cries to attract their victims, while others think of an acoustic anomaly that manifested itself in that remote motel. Leave me your opinion in the comments. Tell me your theories. Number 1. This is Loan Peña, a 5-year-old child who disappeared on June 13th, 2024, in the middle of a family reunion in Argentina, and to this day, his whereabouts are unknown. His case has taken enormous and terrifying turns several times. First, the little boy was last seen while he was in the company of adults and other children. What seemed to be a normal day of family gathering turned into a nightmare that even today generates questions that are impossible to answer. His disappearance not only shocked his family, but in a matter of hours, it became a case that involved the local police, Interpol, and even federal authorities. As the investigators delved deeper, macabre theories and dark clues began to appear that pointed to something very different from a simple loss. There was even talk of a kidnapping. The worst. Names of relatives and acquaintances began to emerge among the suspects. It was then that the media turned to his story. Everyone wanted to cover his disappearance, and it was here where everyone believes a cacophony of the minor was heard.
Estamos viendo en la calle muchas cámaras de seguridad, en la zona varias cámaras de seguridad, varias cámaras de seguridad. Fíjate, un patrullero que acaba de salir de ese lugar donde está haciendo el allanamiento, así que el trazo acá hay de seguridad, en la zona varias cámaras de seguridad, varias.
Look on the floor, look. You hear a child's voice say, "I don't know if the family knows about this audio." If so, it would be super important for them to confirm if that is their son's voice.
De seguridad, en la zona varias cámaras de seguridad, varias de seguridad, en la zona varias cámaras de seguridad, varias de seguridad, en la zona varias cámaras de seguridad, varias.
The worst thing about this case is not the cacophony itself. This case is still unsolved and full of disturbing things. You see, the first detainees were people who seemed to be innocent family members. Leonore Peña, the child's aunt, initially declared as a mere witness. Her later versions were radically changed by admitting under pressure that the version that the boy was lost was a rehearsable fable. She managed to sow unexpected doubts about her true involvement. It is even alleged that she planted evidence, such as Loan's slipper, to pretend that the child had simply gone missing. This montage, far from clarifying the situation, amplified concern about a possible kidnapping network, which family members and surprisingly figures of power would have been involved. Among those investigated are also Commissioner Walter Maciel, accused of cover-up. According to the statements and evidence gathered, Maciel would have manipulated traces and altered evidence. Why would a police officer do that? To hinder the investigation or plant false evidence? It was proven that he tried to stage a scene that would disguise the kidnapping as an accidental loss. This alleged artifice sought to divert attention and hinder the work of the experts. Another element that has added more mystery, it is said that one of the security camera's recordings was not returned to the family, generating suspicions of a deliberate cover-up. Could it be that those who were involved in this macabre kidnapping and the alleged trafficking network used all the means at their disposal to hide the truth? That brief but disturbing statement reminds us, behind the apparent facade of normality hides a network of lies, deceptions, and dark interests. That voice is trying to clarify and help with something. Leave us your theories and opinions in the comment box of both this and the previous audios, because this video has already come to an end. My name is Leonore Clay, and this was The Darkest Secret